Hey, this is Mark with the Keyword Academy. We're getting you started off right with our Keyword Academy core lessons. Remember, our goal with everything that we show you, everything that I teach you, is to help you reach that first $1,000 per month online of low maintenance income. Now, you join the program because you enjoy writing and you have a desire to turn your writing into a residual income. So, everything I'm going to show you today and in subsequent lessons is all about developing that residual income around your writing. There's a scenario that plays out millions of times per day in the search engines. And that scenario is what makes it possible for us to make money the way we do. You see, I've got a couple little kids running around this house. I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I work down in my basement office, and I've got those kids running around upstairs all day, every day. I hear furniture crashing. I hear kids screaming at each other and fighting. I hear them doing everything that 2-year-olds and 4-year-olds do. And every once in a while, it occurs to me that my kids are driving me crazy. I can only imagine how my wife, the stay-at-home mom, feels. So I picture a scenario where you have a stay-at-home mom who's got these crazy kids running around her all day, and in a moment of frustration and exasperation, she sits down at Google and she types into that search bar, "My children are driving me crazy." Well, what does Google do? Google immediately brings up relevant pages. And you can see right here on your screen that when someone types in "my children are driving me crazy" and they type that into Google, all these pages that match that search query show up in the search results. Now, we call these posts. So as I look through these posts, if I'm that frazzled mom, I'm looking for a post that resonates with me. And a lot of these posts have a title that is my exact search query. So maybe as I'm browsing through these search results, I click on this one. It's called "My Children Are Driving Me Crazy." And it's by this certified life coach, and she's got some tips on how I can improve my children's behavior, learn to communicate with them better, whatever it may be. As I browse through the article, maybe I get some good tips, and maybe I notice this ad right up here from Parenting Today, or about Parenting Today, childdevelopmentinfo.com. And the ad promises to help me deal with the issues that were on my mind when I typed that query into Google, when I typed "my children are driving me crazy" into Google. If I were to click on that ad right now as the searcher, the owner of this website would make a very small commission. Could be 10 cents, could be $1. They'd make a small commission from that click. Now, whether or not I buy the product as the searcher that's being advertised, it doesn't matter, because the owner of the article still got that commission from that click. The beauty of our approach is you can become the person who writes the content that matches up with what searchers are looking for, shows them an article that answers the question, solves their problem, and in the process, they might click an ad that's on your website. And when they click that ad, you get a small commission. And when we repeat that process, or when that process is repeated hundreds of times per day on a website that you own, that's how you build a sustainable low maintenance income online as a writer. That's really exciting stuff. It's exciting to know that if you follow a certain formula, you can develop that low maintenance income online doing nothing but what interests you. And what interests you is writing about subjects that are appealing to you. So we do that with what I jokingly call the magic formula. And it's really not a magic formula, it's a dependable formula. And in that formula, here's what you do. You develop keyword-rich content. And keyword-rich means content that matches up with what searchers are typing into Google and the other search engines. You develop that content, then you get Google to trust you. You get Google to trust your content. And if you can combine that keyword-rich content with trust from Google and the other search engines, you get this healthy, sustainable, low-maintenance stream of search engine traffic. And if you can get that search engine traffic, if you can put yourself in a position where dozens to hundreds to thousands of people per day are finding your content in the search engines, clicking through to your websites, if you can get yourself to that place, the income is guaranteed. So when we talk about keyword-rich content, what we're talking about is finding and organizing groups of keyword phrases, and a keyword phrase is just a group of terms that a person types into Google, organizing those groups of keyword phrases into posts. A post being an article that I publish on my website. So I want groups of keywords as opposed to single keywords, because really the single keyword approach is inferior. Now, just to give you an insight into what the single keyword approach would be, you have lots of programs out there, and my program used to be one of them, where you would find a single keyword, and that keyword would meet all of these specific criteria. It would have a certain number of estimated searches per month, and the page rank of competing pages wouldn't be too high, and the number of inbound links pointing at those pages that were ranking well wasn't too high, and the number of search results that show up when you type the term into Google, that's not too high. And if all these things come together in just the right way, you've got this magical qualifying keyword. Now, if, as I said all those terms to you, none of them made any sense and they were all Greek, that's fine, because the truth is, all of those old criteria and metrics that many other people use and that I even used to use, they actually don't matter. Because if you're organizing groups of keywords and doing your job right, all that matters is continuously publishing new content that matches up with what searchers are looking for. And a big part of that is doing what I call working the long tail. Now, think about when we say long tail, that may be a term that you've never heard before. Imagine in your mind a dinosaur, a picture of a dinosaur, and on one side of the dinosaur you've got the head, on the other side you've got the tail. And that tail stretches out long behind the dinosaur. In search, we use this phrase long tail because if you lay a graph over that picture of a dinosaur, near the head you have the number of searches that are occurring on a monthly basis for any given keyword, and then along the bottom of that graph you have the actual keywords themselves. So in the example I'm giving you here on your screen, the head keyword phrase would be something like small business. Small business being a phrase that's searched lots and lots of times every month in the search engines. And down at the long tail you have a much more specific search phrase, keyword phrase, something like how to start a small business with no money. Now, most keyword research is going to drive you toward the head side of the graph. They're going to have you looking at those phrases that get individually searched many, many times each month. And most keyword research methods will not drive you toward the long tail, where you're targeting terms like how to start a small business with no money. But what I can promise you, and this is based on years of traffic statistics that I've gathered in my own business, I found that about half my traffic comes from these long tail phrases like how to start a small business with no money. And then the other half of my traffic does come from the head phrases like small business. But even though the traffic is divided pretty much 50-50, you'll find that the long tail phrases are much easier to rank for. It's much easier to get the search traffic that you need if you focus on the long tail. And as you focus on the long tail, because Google is good at what they do, by doing a really good job with keyword phrases like how to start a small business with no money, as you repeat that over and over, you'll find that your posts and your entire website will start to float to the surface for the head phrases like small business. So basically what we're telling you with our method is that we hope to, or what we're going to do is aim for the long tail and eventually hit the head. And as we do that, you build this great residual traffic stream around which you can build a really solid income. So we organize groups of keywords, and in those groups of keywords we're going to put special emphasis on finding long tail variations of keyword phrases around which we can develop our posts and publish those posts on our websites. So when we look at the specific rules for keyword selection, the fact is there are no rules, there are just general guidelines, because every keyword is in play. It's not a question of whether you should target a keyword most of the time. It's a question of how you should target that keyword. So we've got 4 criteria here that are going to help you decide the best approach to a keyword group. Number 1, we have your interest and or enthusiasm for the keyword group. This trumps everything else. If you're interested in and enthusiastic about a subject, that will sustain your focus and your motivation in working on your website. And focus and motivation matter much more than any fickle criteria that we'd come up with to qualify our keywords. So interest and enthusiasm trumps the numbers every time, within reason. Well, let's talk about within reason. The second criteria we're looking for is we want to see long tail potential in a keyword group. And you see here that I'm saying I want to see 5+ variations of each keyword. So this will become more clear in just a minute, but my point is no post that you publish on your site will ever target a single keyword. It will target 5, 10, sometimes 15 or 20 different keyword variations, because by targeting 5 to 15 or 20 different variations, you're casting this big net out into the search engines and giving yourself an opportunity to capture all of that long-tail traffic that's taking place every day online that doesn't show up in the normal research tools. So we're looking for a lot of variations on the keyword. Number 3, we're looking for adequate search volume. Now at the Keyword Academy, we use what's called local search volume, meaning we're focused on the US market, and we're going to use the Google keyword tool to help us find keyword phrases that are searched often enough in the US market, and we're going to build posts around those keyword groups that are searched a lot here in the United States. So we want an adequate amount of search volume with our keyword group. The last thing we want to look at is commercial activity. Now, when we talk about commercial activity, what we're really talking about is how close to a transaction or how far from a transaction a searcher is when they type a particular phrase into Google. So let's say that I am that frazzled parent and I'm typing, "My children are driving me crazy" into Google. And as I do that, I'm in a heightened emotional state and I'm really seeking a solution to my problem, which is maybe poor communication with my children, and I want to improve my relationship with them, and I see an ad for a parenting program that's going to do just that. It's not crazy to think that I might click through and actually buy that product. So there's a lot of commercial activity around that phrase. Advertisers are trying to get the traffic associated with that keyword phrase, and they're competing. So we have a high advertiser competition for the traffic on the keyword phrase that I'm targeting. So if I'm the one who can send them that traffic, I'm likely to make a good commission through those clicks. That manifests itself not just in a high advertiser competition percentage, which I'll show you in a tool in the next lesson. It also manifests itself in a reasonably high CPC. Now, you're saying, what's CPC? CPC stands for cost per click. Cost per click is an estimate of how much an advertiser would have to bid on a keyword phrase in order to buy the search visitor who's coming through that keyword phrase. So if I'm the person who owns the content where that ad is published, and a searcher clicks on that ad, I'm going to make some percentage of that CPC. Google is going to pay me a commission on that cost per click. Now we're looking for cost per click numbers that Google gives us in the neighborhood of $2 and above. And I'll show you all that coming up. But I just want to let you know that none of these are hard and fast rules, they're just guidelines. And if the CPC is a little bit low, or if the advertiser competition is a little bit low, or if the local traffic volume is a little bit low, my enthusiasm for the subject can trump all of those things as long as I maintain the right expectations about what that keyword group will do for me. Because all I need to do to be successful with this method is produce dozens and then hundreds of posts that can rank well in the search engines, bring me traffic, and bring me clicks. As long as I have the right expectations about what any individual post will do for me, I won't be disappointed. I'll be focused on the right things. I'll be publishing new posts, and I'll be growing my income. So use these guidelines to get you there. I always want to remind you of the plan. The plan is find and organize keyword groups, publish posts based on those keyword groups on websites you own, promote those posts to gain Google's trust, and we'll do an entire section of the program about gaining Google's trust for our posts and our site, and then simply repeating that process over and over until you reach your income goal. That is the recipe for making money online with this method as a writer. So the next thing we've got to do is find keywords, organize them into groups, and figure out how to turn those keyword groups into posts on a website we own. So I'll see you in that lesson.